Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious, and that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. Now, then, as you can see behind myself, we have a lot of blue sky. We do have some white. Not so very nice fluffy clouds, my delicious little babies, and they're making all sorts of shapes today in the sky, my delicious little babies. There's quite a lot of bird races faces, my delicious little babies in the sky. We'll have to see how we go along, okay, my delicious little babies. If I spot anything for one to take a look at, then I will put up a shorty video, okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so, the sun is shining, weather is sweet, yeah, yeah. It's beautiful and delicious and sunny, my delicious little babies, okay? This is the kind of weather that I am liking, okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, it's so beautiful, it's unreal. Anyway, so it's around 3 o'clock. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? In our old England, my delicious little babies. And the little flower that was growing in my garden, my delicious little babies, Kay, she was a single one. What I did, because she was bending, and I thought, oh gosh, and she was all on her own, like she looked depressed. You see, I just love nature, my delicious little babies, okay? Ones who watch me hug trees, kiss trees, kiss the leaves and everything, okay? They think I'm as mad as a hatter, okay, my delicious little babies, but they seem to forget that we need all of this beauty, okay, my delicious little babies, for some, okay, my delicious little babies, anyway. So once I sort of, chopped her down a bit, I put her with me the little flowers, my delicious little babies, and guess what? She's thriving. She was bending because she's not a sunflower. I'm just, I don't know what it is. I'm just not. I've got nothing against, I mean, all little flowers are beautiful, all of our creations, but sunflowers are just not for myself. Do you understand what I mean? My delicious little babies. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. There's little pretty little flowers. Say, there's one that I love. They're not even expensive. I think they're about £2.49. Okay, and they open up. They begin with the Astoria something. Okay, my delicious babies. But I also love and adore spray carnations. I think they're beautiful, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? So there's lots of different types of little flowers that I like, and plus the ones from my beautiful, dear little neighbours upstairs. They're beautiful, dear little Mama Bear, who's Spanish, who came over, and she hand picked these beautiful, delicious little flowers that I did show in one of my videos. My delicious little babies, yellow and green. Anyway. So, yeah, but now this little one's thriving with the rest of my little spray carnations, my delicious little babies. What are they? Purple, white, and that little flower's yellow. But she's not a sunflower. No. She looks like one, but she's not. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so one of our neighbours, our dear neighbours down the road, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so she's moving. Well, she has already moved. They're just getting the last, putting it on the skip and everything, my delicious little babies. Anyway, this one was in a porch. But then she puts out, I'll have to show you next time, my delicious little babies. And it's a beautiful vase. And all it is, it does have a tiny chip, just a tiny chip, my delicious little babies. But you know what? I thought, what a pretty vase. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies, Kai? Because I do like the vases. Where's it from, that? Oliver. Oh. The one in my bedroom is 27 squids. And it's clear and gold, my delicious little babies, Kai. And it usually comes in a box, or you can get, mind you could go to Wilco's, and get a beautiful posy vase, mad delicious little babies. You know, it's just a clear glass vase, and that was only a fiver. Do you know what I mean? Mad delicious little babies. But this one, I like something that looks different. There we are. Do you know what I mean? Mad delicious little babies. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling on. But I just thought I'd show you this beautiful. It was in a porch, and I said, are you getting rid of that? And she said, sorry, excuse me. She said yes. She said it was originally a hat box. Okay, my delicious little babies came. But, you know, because I remember when I got a hat box many, many, many years ago, well over a couple of decades ago now, my delicious little babies, but it never looked like this. But the wonderful thing about this is that, and that doesn't mean no, because this is beautiful, is that you can carry it like as a case. Look. And this is it. Take a look, my delicious little babies, really, really closely. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Isn't it beautiful? So it's got two parts where you can open it at each end. And then when you open it, it's, you know, you can pop. But what she said was, and I was just about to say what she said to me earlier. And I said, you can use that as a little case. She said, yes. And I thought, yeah, how beautiful. So it's a hat box. My delicious little baby, it's a hat box. But it's also a little suitcase, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? I just thought it's just so, you know, so lovely. And it's just so, there we are, different. You know, like when you compare to, because the dear lady woman there now then, she's older now, do you know what I mean? So she has had this a very long time, my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Anyway, I just thought, no, I'm going to keep you. Because I said to her, I said, why don't you put it on, what's it called, Vinted or something like that, or is it Etsy? I said, why don't you put it on there? And she said, oh, I haven't got time for that, Carla. Do you see what I mean? She said, we just want to get out of here. You know what I mean? My delicious little babies. Can I mind you? We've got rather a large number who are moving off the road. My delicious little babies, you know, the houses are going up for sale and everything, you know what I mean? Anyway, my delicious little babies, so I just thought I'd share that. So I know it seems to yourselves that I'm rambling on, there we are, but there's method in what I'm saying and doing. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? She also gave me, now this is like a little table. I say it's a table, but it's flipping sturdy, you know. Okay, so it is rather heavy. And so I looked at it yesterday and I thought, what could I do with you? Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies can. All it's got right underneath on one of the little feet, okay? It's just a tiny little bit of wood, just the tiniest bit that's missing. But I tell you what, it's immaculate. And all you need to do, and like she said, well, anyway, it's just automatic, it's common sense. Just needs to wipe over. And I said, do you not realise? I said that can fetch, there we are, rather a lot. I said, because they really like the older furniture, my delicious little babies. So she said, yes, but I cannot be bothered with it, Carla. So I said, okay. I said, could I please have that as well, please? And her name, okay, which I will not say. And of course you can. I said, well, I only live round the corner. I said, if you could. And she said, you know what? She said, listen, she said, let's just put them all in the boot of my car. She said, you know, and then when you finish your walking, she says, then I'll drop you up. She called me her fairy. She said to one of the neighbours, she said, let me just take our little fairy up the road. You know what I mean? My delicious baby. Oh, what a lovely, dear woman lady. So when I say both, woman lady, I mean that, you know, yes, she is a dear lady, but she's also a dear woman as well, you know what I mean? Keeping her home and there we are and all these kind of things. You see what I mean? My delicious little babies. So anyway, so we brought it up. So, yeah, I feel that I'm probably gonna with that because I've already got another table because I can do that with my sewing because there's more room on that. Okay. Um, so what I feel I'm gonna do is sell it. Well, she doesn't mind anyway, but I'm not selling this. No. Imagine if I put that on Etsy. Imagine how much there we are. That would fetch. There we are. That would fetch. My delicious little babies. You know what I mean? Just because of the style of it and everything. And it's in immaculate condition. It's perfect. Okay, my delicious little babies. So, yep, you're staying with me, my little lovely. You see what I mean? That doesn't mean no. Anyway, so what do I want to talk about? Yeah, I was listening to it was only just over 17 minutes, my delicious little babies, with our lovely not in that way with anybody. Our lovely Katie Hopkins, and she was talking to what's his name? Bless him. I used to see him on a Bit Shoot a lot. Jesse Lee Peterson, my delicious little babies, kind. And so in the past few days, these videos have been coming up. There we are on my feed, my delicious little babies. I think he has 500 and is it 547 or 587 subscribers on YouTube, my delicious little babies. Jesse space Lee space Peterson, said it all capitals at the beginning of the words, my delicious little babies. Yeah, and our lovely and actually I rate that man as well. There we are, my delicious little babies. Okay, I do rate him. Like I say, I used to see him on BitChute. Okay, but the thing is, I can never quite get into because I was too busy. I was always advertising something, as everybody knows who's been so very kind enough to listen to my videos and so very kind enough to subscribe to myself over the years. Do you see what I mean? But he does some. There are some very good interviews, my delicious little babies, and let me tell you, he questioned no end. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, another one that he did. I listened to it yesterday evening. I think that was just over an hour long. On old YouTube, my delicious little babies was with what's his name? He's a priest. He used to be in this Calvin Robinson. Okay, my delicious little babies, please take a listen. There we are to that video. Okay, my delicious little babies. They happen to be talking about, do you feel that something along the lines? This is not the exact words, my delicious little babies. I've got to tell you about that, and then we'll come back to our lovely Katie. Should a woman be more educated than, say a husband along these lines, my delicious little babies, Kai? And Calvin said no. I was rather shocked at that, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Because I've actually advertised him a long time back. Seems to, I don't know, believe in, I don't know, something else, my delicious little babies. I'm really pleased that he's got his footing on the ground, my delicious little babies. I'm really pleased about that. But it's the numbers as well that he was mentioning, like, 3, 6, just amazing, really, my delicious. There we are, little babies, you know what I mean? Of course, when one's nerve, which I've pointed out, many others, like our dear Not In That Way, our dear Mag Bitter Truth official on YouTube, my delicious little babies. He happens to have 13.6 thousand subscribers, bless. It's all about the coding. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? But when he was asked certain questions by Jesse, bless, he actually said he didn't know. It was, there we are, a really interesting conversation to listen to, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? But it was also equally interesting to listen to his responses when he said that he didn't know. There we are, certain things, my delicious little babies. Do you follow me? Please and thank you. Anyway, let's get back to our lovely little... before I get back to what I wanted to talk about, our dear little Katie Hopkins, well, I'm going to be honest with you, my delicious little babies. I never agreed with that at all. So, a man who's the head of the household And I've got nothing personally against Calvin Robinson. No, I do not. Okay, certainly not. He worships his God. Do you see what I mean? Like anybody else does with their religions. I've got nothing against. Slightly stumbled there. I've got nothing against anybody who has a different religion. Mad, delicious, little baby's wind's picking up. However, what I will say is that I just happen to believe in my own, there we are, dear giddy God within. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And what was really interesting is how Jesse, bless him, was, asking that question. He was asking it, there we are, in different ways. You see what I mean? Like, what about your God within? Fascinating, very, very, there we are, fascinating conversation to listen to, my delicious little babies, do you say? Very fascinating, there we are indeed. But I believe that a dear woman um, can be educated. Do you understand what I mean? And have a certain level of education. I personally like to call it more. There we are. Ding ding dong dong. Common sense. There we are. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little babies, kind. So there's nothing wrong with that. If a woman has common sense, but the way he was coming across, you need to listen to this, my delicious little baby. So I'm not being nasty towards Calvin Robinson because he's a priest, okay? He also doesn't have a wife or a little band, my delicious little babes. What did they say about that profession? Because after all, it is a profession, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Just like anything else, in fancy dress. Well, what did they say? They wanted, was it priests and nuns? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. I mean, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I do not really, not being nasty, pay that much attention. Like I said, I'm not really one for religion, my delicious little babies, not being nasty. If I want to talk to my beautiful dear little spirit guards, there we are, my beautiful dear little angels, I can do it in my four walls or when I'm out walking in nature. I do not need to go to no damn church. See how I stumbled again, my delicious little babies, but I'm not stopping my video. So they were asked not to have, I mean, like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Husbands or wives or anything like this now then. I mean, if you're going back decades, and there we are decades ago, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Well, surely to goodness, the way I see it is that I personally do not feel that anybody has a right to say that to anybody. If you join a church, and you want to be what you want to be, then you must give it all up for God. Because for myself, the way that I see it is, my delicious little babies, okay, you're telling mankind, another mankind, that they cannot have any form of a relationship other than with God. My delicious little babies, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't we supposed to create more little families? There we are, more little babies into the world. My delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? But of course, if everybody was to listen to that chat, then nobody would be creating more beautiful families and everything like this now, would they? So, to myself, there we are. It's very questionable. My delicious, there we are. Oh, yes. Okay, my delicious little babies, which I already know anyway. But a very interesting conversation. Please take a listen on YouTube, my delicious little babies, okay? Or if anybody happens to watch, BitChute or other channels that Jesse Lee Peterson's on, bless, okay? But no, I do not have anything against Calvin Robinson. And I will repeat that again because I genuinely feel, there we are, that he's really wanting, there we are, to help mankind. There we are. So I genuinely feel that. But I also feel that maybe he needs to maybe do a bit more research. There we are, into other things, my delicious little babies, if you follow me. Okay, that's all I'm saying. There's always somebody who's seeing, there's always somebody who's hearing to what I've said. Okay, my delicious little babies, there we are. That's a good thing. You see what I mean? Okay. So I never put a comment there. I didn't need to because I knew I was going to come on my camera today. My delicious little babies, do you see? Now then, my delicious little babies, let's rewind back to our lovely Katie Hopkins, yes, and she's talking about basically the state of our old England, my delicious little baby. She's not wrong, bless her. She's not wrong at all. And like I say, with anybody not in that way, not in that way, she's not wrong at all. Because this is what we got. And what she was talking about was the generations. That doesn't mean no, the generations. We've got to stop all this silly business, in my view. If you're having a conversation, there we are, you're having a conversation. It shouldn't be this business, that business, this, and whatever else. Okay, my delicious little babies. And she was talking about when she talked to the older generations, who came to our country many decades ago. My delicious little babies came. All that they wanted to do was just a figure of speech. It's just, a saying, get their head down, work hard, build the families. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? There we are. So she was banging correct. It's what I've said. There we are. For flipping decades. There we are. However, okay, my delicious babies, this is not what we're seeing. But it's a really interesting conversation. So, so I will say this. Thank you to our dear little Katie Hopkins, and thank you to our dear little Jessie Lee Peterson, okay? Because these are conversations, there we are, that we need to have. But it's like if you say something, well, you're wrong in what you're saying. No, we're not wrong because we can see the changes, and it's not for the good, my delicious little babies. Then you got some of our politicians now, if you follow me. There we are, before I even say it, who are too busy lining their skyrockets, their pockets, my delicious little babies, wanting to. Do you want to be my gang, my gang, my gang? Wanna be my gang? Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? My delicious little babies, where they get all kinds of perks. Do you know what I'm saying? My delicious little babies, okay? In some cases, if they swing the other way, you know how the pendulum goes, my delicious little babies. Do you follow me? So it's not just about the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching and eating a bit of grub, having a meal, going to evening dinner. Hoo hoo, boo hoo. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? There's a lot more there we are to that, you see. And of course, the more that you can reel them in, the more that you can entice them. Do you see? There we are. Then they'll do more, shall we say, there we are, commands for you. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? So we know there we are the drill. So thank you once again to our dear Katie Hopkins and our dear Jessie Lee Peterson, okay? And then we've got changing the subject in our old England, the elderly. Oh, so we're back to the dear elderly again now. So they cannot say anything, cannot have a freedom of speech. I mean, I remember going back decades ago, there we are, when the elderly, there we are, with the elderly, do you know what I mean? And then I heard that, what is it? Is that to do with Katie? Where, so bless our dear elderly, and may our beautiful dear little angels, there we are, and our beautiful dear little spirit guards protect them all. Because there we are, because they're going to need it, because ones are cherry picking. There we are. You see what I mean? My delicious babies, they're cherry picking indeed. So, and then what else did I hear? Oh, yeah, I think it was with Katie, actually, that some are wanting to take it upon themselves to walk the streets of London. Well, really, we have in all our cities and in the world the old bill police, my delicious little babies, who get paid, there we are, let's just say a handsome wage to do this. So why should, all that I'm asking is, I can see the logic why they're wanting to do it, but why must they be doing a job that others get paid pensions and a good wage and everything else now then to do? That's just a question, simple things. I'm just asking a question, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, so that's the end of my video, my delicious little babies. I know it sounds like I've rambled on, but I feel, my delicious little babies, there we are, that some things now need saying. There we are. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies can? But as what I said before, I'm not starting anything. Oh, slightly stumbled there again, my delicious little babies, not at all. But what I'm saying is that, for ones who are not aware, there we are, they need to be very aware, there we are, of what is going on around them. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies can? How these do it is they just edge ones in different places, you know what I mean? My delicious little babies, if you follow me, okay? But if you really look at it, and you look very, very, very seriously with your ding, ding, dong, dong common sense, it's like a maze, isn't it? It's like we're all in. I've just got maze, this colossal, in all of our countries, there we are. We're in one large, well, actually, you can put it as whole. You can make me whole again. What year was that song, my delicious little babies? The fact of the matter, and by the way, I meant nothing else by it. I simply meant what was the year of the song. Anyway, my delicious little babies, okay? So if you look at it, we're in just one big, large effing maze, man. Do you see what I mean, okay? Because you got the starting point, haven't you, my delicious little babies, okay? And then you got to try and find your way. And then at some points, it's what you call, we don't like this word, as we seem to be hearing it rather regularly these days, my delicious little babies. It's getting younger and younger, very sadly. So very, very sad. And then you come to a dead end. So you got to walk all the way back again. So you got to backtrack, and then you got to try and find another way. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? And this is what I feel there we are that we're in. Okay, my delicious little babies. So until my next video, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. Please take care now, my delicious babies, and please try to take care of others, okay? Because we are in a bonkers, there we are, crackers and crazy world. But for us, we need to be aware, fully aware. But we also need to good vibrations. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? It is a very trying situation that we're in. There we are at the moment, my delicious little babies, okay? But we've got to surely, I do not incite anything, so I do not mean violence or anything, but we need to get ourselves effing out. There we are, the mess that, there we are, that others have created who are supposed to be leading. Okay, my delicious little babies. So until my next video, thank you so very much once again for listening. How I love you all so. If you do get to watch my video, then you do. So thank you. However, if you do not, I'm just very sorry that you haven't managed to cross my channel. Okay, my delicious little babies, but we all know what YouTube's doing. So this will probably take another 10 hours to upload. Okay, my delicious little babies, so very much love. How I love you all so. Take care. Thank you once again for listening. Blessings. Goodbye.